We're coming to you from the London Stock Exchange, and if you look at the stunning graphics behind me, it says it all. With me is Chairman of HDFC and the conscience keeper of corporate India, as he's referred to, Mr. Deepak Parekh. Thank you very much for joining us. You've launched what is called the Masala bond, and I'm amused you've launched it in the land of James Bond. Tell us about these bonds. Why should one invest in it?
Well, we at HDFC are always looking to diversify our borrowing sources. Ours is basically a domestic need because we give rupee loans to small individuals to own their own home, own their own dream home. So we prefer to raise rupee funds because we have to lend in rupees and collect in rupees.
Yeah.
This was an opportunity we found where although we raise the money abroad, our liability is restricted to be repaid in rupees. So the exchange risk is taken by the investor who invests in these bonds. It is also internationalization of our local currency. You have, this is the first bond of its kind where an Indian corporate has borrowed in rupees overseas. And I think this is the way of things to come because our needs for finance in India are huge. And I'm sure many Indian corporates will now tap this market. And London is a large financial center. The markets are deep. The investors have massive confidence. Confidence in the London market, the London regulations, the London rules. We got a variety of responses from 48 different investors. We had to shut the issue 2 days earlier. It was 4 times oversubscribed. So I think that we found an opportune time to enter London Stock Exchange to raise rupee funding.
A month after Brexit has happened, do you see that as an opportunity, or like many skeptics would say, you said the markets are deep here, many skeptics would say markets are in deep trouble. Has it been a mess of things or an opportunity?
Markets, you see, there's ample liquidity. Global liquidity is all-time high. Negative interest rates are there in 25-30% of the world, where you're getting negative returns. India is doing exceptionally well since the last 2 years. We are the fastest growing large economy in the world. And macro fundamentals are all in our favor. You have to borrow in the time when the country has got strength. Borrow when you don't need the money, borrow when the country is strong, you get the best terms. And so we took advantage of the India's macro position also. The confidence people have in India today is massive internationally.
Sure.
Prime Minister in the last 2 years has developed this aura outside that India is on the go, India is on the march, India will do well, we will even come to an 8% GDP growth rate shortly. So I think things are going well for India. So
Sure.
We need resources in India. Indian markets are not deep enough. Indian debt market is shallow. To get funding in India, it's restricted. So we have to tap overseas market, and no better way than do a Masala bond where we don't take the responsibility of exchange fluctuation and the volatility in the foreign exchange markets.
I'm amused you call it the Masala bond as opposed to some other...
Well, it is synthetic Indian rupee bonds, put it that way. Local currency, rupee denominated.
Many would have thought curry would have got a better stand, but Masala indeed it is. Since you spoke about interest rates, Mr. Parekh, Indian scenario, of course, is the highest as opposed to some of the biggest economies which still have negative interest rates. Is that one reason why somebody should invest, or are you also upbeat about the Indian economy like you mentioned?
No, I am upbeat on the Indian economy, and the fact is that outside India, most of the developed economy, there are zero interest rates. A saver, an investor cannot get more than 0.5% on their savings, while we are offering 8%. So there's a huge change. The arbitrage is huge. Europe, Japan, US, UK, rates are below 1% and then negative. That forms 50% of the global developed economy. So where is all this funding, the liquidity which is there? The world is awash with liquidity, wanting avenues for investment because alternates are not there. Alternates, the returns are very low.
Some time ago, since you spoke about the Indian economy and you're saying you're upbeat, some time ago you mentioned that the growth on the ground, the changes on the ground have not been as much as one had expected. Do you still think it's true, sir?
That was about 1.5 years ago. Things are much better today. Things are improving. Ease of doing business is improving. Government on its part has taken a number of steps to open up the economy. Recently, 9 sectors have been totally opened up for FDI, including food, retailing, food trading, defense, pharmacy, information and broadcasting, private security services, pharmaceuticals, number of sectors that the government has opened up. So under automatic approval, you can do a lot under automatic approval. You don't need to go for specific approval. So things are changed.
I just want to refer to a recent survey by Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, which says that this quarter, particularly in India, has been the worst in 10 years in terms of project completion in India. Private capital investment hasn't picked up. Corporate earnings in the last few quarters has been low. Should the government increase public spending and infrastructure investments to increase or
government
boost the economy?
is spending large sums on infrastructure.
Okay.
Yes, the private capital spend is low. Private sector is not putting money in new plants and new facilities, and government has taken this role and encouraging public sector undertakings to take on large projects. Private sector follows. You have to give some time, but I'm sure private sector will follow. And I don't agree, quarterly results have been mixed.
Okay.
In fact, quite a few quarterly results have been on the upswing, are positive. There may be certain cyclical factors like commodity prices are all-time low, where the performance of corporates for this quarter has been below normal or below average. But I don't think we should worry about it. Monsoons have set up, and you will see that our food grain production will get a massive increase this year after 2-3 years of flat food grain production. We've not grown over 230 million, 250 million tons for the last 3 years because of deficiency in monsoon. I expect this time we could go to 280, 70, 80 million tons.
Given it's looking good, the monsoon.
And it's looking monsoon across the country is looking good. GST has been placed in Parliament. There has been consensus among political parties that GST is going to come through by April 17. Corruption, high-level corruption has been weeded out by e-tendering and e-auctions. If you see, all big contracts are done on e-tendering basis. All large procurements are done on e-auctions. So the corruption at the high level has really been weeded out. There are a number of other positive factors. The bankruptcy code has been passed, the Bankruptcy Act, how the rules are being put in place. So I think if you see the JAM Trinity is working, direct benefit transfers are going into people who have subsidy payments. So I think we have come a long way in the 2 years.
Sure. In the 2 years, from last year to this year, you seem quite positive. Mr. Parekh, the country is looking for a new RBI governor. Are you in the race, sir, given...
No, I'm not in the race. I was never in the race. I'm not in the race.
Should the government approach you, would you be up for it?
I'm not qualified. I'm not competent to even think of that.
Any other top government job, would you be up for it? Should the government approach you?
They need younger people. India is an ancient country, but with a young population. Why should they look at old people? They're there. Young people are brighter than all of us.
One last question, since you're the father of home loans, as many refer to. One last question on home loans and the real interest rates itself. Is it fair for an Indian borrower to pay that much, given some of the best economies in the world are in the negative?
I agree. The Indian consumer is paying more, but you are living in India. You have to pay Indian rates. And there were times when our mortgage lending rate was 15%.
Yes.
Today it's down to 9%. And it is coming down. And don't forget, even though the client or the borrower is paying 9%, they get tax deduction for it. So in effect, if they borrow to the hilt and the maximum take advantage of the maximum tax benefit, the rates come down to 4%.
With lower interest rates, or without these exorbitant ones, can the investment really revive? Can this cycle revive?
I think cycle is reviving. It takes time, but the cycle is reviving.
Okay. And lastly about...
the service sector is doing well. The IIP, the industrial production has been low, but you know, in this quarter, when there are excessive rains and floods and monsoons, the impact is always there. But I'm very positive of the next couple of quarters.
HDFC has always been known to be an aggressive but very cautious when it comes to its decisions, particularly on lending. But the rest of the financial sector seems like it's in trouble given huge amount of money has been sent out and some of them have been wrong decisions. What is the way out of this for India?
It takes time to clean banks' balance sheet. The governor has been in a hurry and he said he wants the balance sheets to be squeaky clean on April 17. I think we have to consider that these are legacy issues built over last 10 years, decade. You cannot clean it up in 2-3 quarters. You need a little breathing space, and the government and the Reserve Bank must give banks a breathing space to clean up their books and to recapitalize themselves. And the process is on. It takes time. I'm not concerned. I'm not over worried about the NPA. NPAs are high, restructured loans are high. But as the economy turns around, as we do better, as infrastructure takes off, I'm sure some of these non-performing loans will become performing loans.
Vijay Mallya, who's now in this country, has been saying that banks need to be liable too. Do you believe that a lot of that money that he borrowed will eventually come back? What do you believe?
See, in his case, I think there's been a business failure. And sure, he may have, he's accused of siphoning out money or taking money or borrowing money and using it for different purposes. Now it's for him and the government to sort it out. I can't comment on it.
Surely the last. As Mr. Raghuram Rajan leaves his office very soon, what would you think he would be known for? What would his legacy be? Or any message that you have?
Opening up the banking sector, cleaning up the banking sector, or trying to clean the banking sector. He's a good economist, very good world-renowned economist, bringing monetary stability to India. So he'll be known for many of these activities.
All right. Thank you very much for this interview. Masala bonds, of course, being launched here at the London Stock Exchange, and the hope is that it will really set the trend or the path for many other corporates to follow. Thank you very much, Mr. Deepak Parekh.